Maybe you've heard about Adobe's Creative Cloud, but you're still not completely sure what it is. Simply put, it's a whole new way of working and creating, giving you everything you need to do your best work. When you join Creative Cloud, you get all the same state-of-the-art creative tools you've always used and loved. Tools like Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, Premiere Pro, but they've been completely reinvented to support a more intuitive and connected way of creating. Plus, you have access to brand new tools like Adobe Muse and Edge tools and services for building beautiful modern websites. With one membership, you get every Adobe Creative tool so you can constantly experiment and expand your skills. And the very latest features are always available to you when you're ready to download and install them. Creative Cloud lets you work from anywhere, on any device, wherever you are and with anyone you want. You can sync your files to the cloud to work on them later, access them from another device, or share your files and collaborate with a team. In fact, Creative Cloud was specifically designed to streamline the way creatives work together. You can set up private folders, choose your collaborators, manage versions, and capture all the activity related to your projects, all in one place. And with the integration of Behance, the world's leading creative community, you can showcase your work to millions, get feedback, and get exposure. From right within Photoshop CC, you can post your designs to your Works in Progress portfolio on Behance, and then get instant feedback from your trusted peers. You can also explore and discover the world's best work from leading creatives, peers, and people you know. Behance ProSite is also included with your membership. It's a fully customizable professional online portfolio on your own URL. With ProSite, keeping your portfolio up to date becomes easier than ever. You can also build and publish websites, mobile apps, and iPad applications. It's all included in your membership. Download the creative apps from the cloud to your desktop and use them the same way you always have, whether you're connected to the internet or not. You have a central dashboard to help you keep track of your entire creative universe. Your ideas, files, fonts, colors, settings, and updates and upgrades to your desktop apps, as well as your collaborators and community activity. And you have access to a growing library of tutorials and inspirational content. It's all available in real time wherever you happen to be. Creative Cloud evolves as you evolve and gives you everything you need to keep up, so you can experiment, innovate, and embrace whatever's next. Create now.
Good evening, everyone, and we're live. I'm Bless Baluyot. I'm your community engagement personnel from Connected Filipinos and Link in Local Philippines. With me tonight is Miss um, Mary Pantoja Smith. I will be co-hosting with her. Hi, Mary. Good
Hi,
morning to
Bless.
you.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much. So, like Bless said, I am Mari Pantoja Smith, Advocacy Director, Philanthropy Director for Connected Filipinos. So, welcome, everyone. I am so honored for this podcast today because we have a very, very, very special lady to interview
Yeah.
today.
And because of that, please do introduce her.
Sure. So, allow me to welcome Miss Gina Romero. So, Miss Gina Romero is actually the founder, hi, of Connected Women, Unconventional Entrepreneur. She's a community builder, inclusive innovation, venture women in AI awards finalist, as well as the Towns winner. So, Towns stands for the Outstanding Women in the Nation Service. Welcome, Miss Gina
Hi,
Romero.
everyone.
Hi,
We're so
Thank you
everyone.
so
honored.
much for inviting me.
Yes, we're so happy that you are here. How are you today, Miss Gina and Mary? How are you?
Well, let's ask our guest first, definitely.
Oh, I'm doing great. This year has kicked off amazingly and been busy doing some really interesting projects. So, and super happy to be here. So, yeah, hi
So,
everyone.
hi, are you in the Philippines right now?
I am, yeah, I'm in
Okay.
South
Okay.
Manila.
Okay. Good. Good. Yeah. Hey,
Okay.
Bless. Do we have anybody else? As is it just you and I hosting, correct?
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
you and
Perfect.
I, and the rest of our teammates are listening right now and watching. All
Okay.
right. So
Perfect.
I think I saw Miss Delby. Hi, Miss Delby. And Sir John Mark, I saw you there. Okay. So we'd like to know. Oh, there. Hi, Jane. We would like to know, how did you get started in your career with regard to being an entrepreneur and as an innovator?
Oh my gosh, that's a big question up front. Well, I've had a kind of unusual life in many ways. I'm actually Filipina. I'm half Filipina. My dad was European. So I grew up in the UK. My mom comes from a very small town in the Philippines, and she went to the UK to be a domestic worker back in the 70s. So she was one of our celebrated overseas Filipino workers, one of the pioneers. And, because of that, I grew up around Filipino communities. I ended up back in the Philippines at some point in my life. So I studied in Angeles City, actually, in
Oh,
one of the high schools there. And my parents actually gave up domestic work to be pig farmers in my mom's town. So that was my first experience of entrepreneurship. You know, my parents saved their money, went back to the Philippines, decided to start a business. It happened to be a pig farm. And so in my teens, in my high school years, that's what we were doing. So I kind of experienced already some of the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. In fact, our business was lost because of the Mount Pinatubo that erupted, the volcanic
oh,
eruption that happened in the early 90s. So I went back to the UK. I actually became cabin crew. So I had the opportunity to travel all around the world in my 20s. And then I met my husband who was in tech. And then we became entrepreneurs together. So we started like buying and selling laptops online, and then all sorts of tech related entrepreneurial ventures. So yeah, it wasn't really something that I planned out. I actually wanted to be a vet when I was in
Oh,
school. Yeah, because I love animals and I really wanted to do that, but I wasn't very strong on my academics. So I didn't finish my college. I dropped out of college before I finished my second year. So I think entrepreneurship was probably a better route because you learn on the job, right?
yeah.
yeah.
And actually, I just want to piggyback off of that. And thank you so much for sharing that humble beginnings. Thank you for sharing the fact that you did not finish your college, right? Because, being Filipinos, we're so gung ho on education. But at least look where you're at today. So it's not necessarily just a path for everyone. So thank you for sharing that. I think that's important for our Filipino community who's trying to balance either education or entrepreneurship. So thank you. So on that note though, what have been some of your biggest challenges you've faced in your work today and how have you overcome them?
So I think going back to the topic actually of the education side, which keeps coming up over and over again, not that I undervalue education, but I think different people are suited to different tracks, right?
Yes.
And I kind of ended up in entrepreneurship in many ways because it was something that I could do without other people sort of restricting my access, if you like. Sometimes if you don't have certain qualifications, for example, to apply for a job that you want to apply for, you can't, right? And it's
Yes.
restrictive. So I guess I'm the type of person that if I come up against a barrier of some type, I'm going to look for another route, maybe an easier route or maybe just a different route. So I think sometimes the challenges that I've experienced have been external factors. Like when I moved to Singapore, for example, with my husband in 2010, when I was heavily pregnant with our third son, I couldn't get a job because I didn't have a degree in Asia,
Yeah.
or couldn't easily get a job, or not the job that I wanted, even though I had a lot of experience. And then on top of that, um, I couldn't start a business because I was on a dependent pass and all the rest. So a lot of people told me like, oh, you won't be able to work in Singapore. You won't be able to do anything except be an expat wife. And, you know, so many people told me that, but then I just kept asking people, how can I do it? Or how did you do it? Or is there another way? What about this route? What about that route? And finally, I found someone who said, actually, I think there might be a way. It's kind of unlikely, but we can try. So there've been a lot of different challenges, but I love problem solving. So I tend to look at challenges as like, oh, how can I solve this one? Yeah.
So
I think I specifically answered it.
I know who to call next time, okay, when I have a problem, since you like problem solving.
Exactly.
How's that? So, no, but thank you
Well,
for
I'm not
that.
always very good at it, but I enjoy it.
But what I heard from what you said really is perseverance, right? Like you said, you didn't stop at the one door that told you, no, there's no other way. You kept going. So again, kudos to you for that. And that's definitely a lesson learned for all of us. So how do you define inclusive innovation?
But to be honest, I'd never heard of inclusive innovation up until a few years back. You know, I mean, as I mentioned, I'm a person who likes to solve problems and, you know, that entrepreneurial nature, I guess. And so, you know, if I see a gap somehow in the market, I'm trying to figure out like, oh, maybe that's something that I can solve somehow. So for example, when my husband and I started out with our first business, we were buying and selling laptops. And, you know, that doesn't sound very impactful, but actually what we realized was that there was a lot of people that wanted laptops at that time that couldn't afford it because mostly only corporate executives would get a laptop. But then we realized like the corporate executives were upgrading and selling off their old machines. And then it made the secondhand laptops more accessible to, you know, gamers and people that just wanted to get their hands on it. So we started like that. Then we started building gaming laptops because a lot of our customers were looking for high spec laptops, but they couldn't afford like a true gaming, you know, branded gaming laptop. So we were importing parts from, you know, Taiwan. This was in the UK. And then we were building made to order gaming laptops because we knew that there was a market. So we kind of dabbled in a lot of things like that. And then we started doing Wi-Fi, residential Wi-Fi setup back in 2002 because a lot of people couldn't afford internet, right? And even in the UK, it was too expensive. And so we realized if we deployed Wi-Fi, it could be shared in whole buildings. So we like to do innovative early stage things. And I guess, you know, the inclusive innovation thing kicked in when I suddenly realized how challenging it was for Filipinos all over the world, right? Especially those coming from disadvantaged groups. So when I was in Singapore, I kept meeting Filipino home helpers, right? Amazing women who had left the country because they were looking for a better life for their kids, right? Or for their families or for themselves. And I thought, wait a minute, my mom left the country in the 70s because of lack of opportunities back home. And yet this is still happening decades later. There must be something wrong. And that's when I said to Bobby, maybe we can go back to the Philippines and do something for women there, because I had already been very active in building women's communities and women's empowerment communities in the UK and Singapore. So it hadn't crossed my mind. And that's why what we do now is about bringing skills and opportunities to those who may not otherwise have access.
Oh, I like that so much. Thank you for giving that example. Bless, I want to give you an opportunity for now to ask question. I feel like I'm hijacking this whole podcast.
Was that the reason why you started the community building when you saw what was happening to our Filipino um, individuals who are abroad and leaving the country? Was that the start of the community building, Miss Gina?
Well, I'd become part of communities in the UK. I actually joined a women's community in the UK that was really amazing when I was early in my business career. And that was very impactful for me because I met people who were, you know, more experienced than I was doing things that I wanted to do. But then I also met people who were less experienced than I was that wanted to do what I was doing or wanted to learn from me. So I kind of joined this women's business network and realized how important it is to be around other entrepreneurs or other people who have similar goals, right? I mean, we have our family and friends who love us dearly, but they're not always going to be the ones who say, you know what, go for that crazy idea, right? The family and friends will say, don't quit your job.
Yeah.
Are you sure about this? That sounds scary, because they love us and try to protect us from all the risk. But, you know, when you join a group of other entrepreneurs or other like-minded anyone, they're more likely to encourage you, right? So that was amazing for me. So when I moved to Singapore, I brought that same UK network, which is called the Athena Network, still running. The founder is a dear friend of mine. I brought that to Singapore. And that was also because there was a gap. I didn't really find that there were women's networks like that one in Singapore. But it hadn't crossed my mind ever to come back to the Philippines, honestly, after the whole being blown up by a volcano thing and other things that happened.
Yeah.
But, you know, I just found it so sad. And, you know, our family helper, my son Jaya, was, you know, she was a widow. She is a widow. And she left her kids behind when they were still small. And she'd been in Singapore for 8 years and had never been back to the Philippines, you know, to see her kids. And I said, why don't you go like see them? She just wanted to save every single peso, right? For the kids' education. And it just hit me so hard that this was really a very sad reality for so many Filipinos, even in this day and age, when we have technology at our fingertips and theoretically the whole world of opportunities are in front of us, right?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I still find it, you're right, even to now, like we have technology, but we still find so many places in the Philippines that lacks the access. That's the most important thing, right? So I want to just understand, what role do you think does diversity, equity, inclusion, and I want to add belonging, how does that, you know, work for you, and what strategies do you have for us to be most effective with that?
So, tricky question. Good question.
It's a big issue, right?
Yeah.
Today,
It is, yeah. I mean, my personal advocacy is really around, it started out in women, right? Women networks, moved to women's empowerment through technology. So Connected Women was actually founded 10 years ago in Singapore, focusing on a different demographic of women, really like expat women, executive women, business women who wanted to learn how to use technology better so that they could improve their businesses, scale. And so I focused on that area because, again, I felt there was a gap. Sadly, we still need to advocate for women's empowerment because we are still massively behind, right?
Yes.
And a lot of people will say, why just women? What about men? Why are you not helping men? It's like, you know, we want to support everyone. We want to help everyone. And the best way to do that, the best way that I can do that is by empowering women through tech, because, you know, the stats are shocking, actually, right? When you look at the women's empowerment stats, it's kind of unbelievable that equality is so far behind in terms of gender. But that's just one area. You know, you mentioned earlier, like digital divide, right? That actually affects more women than men, but it still affects many, many other disadvantaged people. There's just so much lack of equity in the world that it's one of the biggest, I mean, the reasons why we're not living in a perfect world, right? There's so much inequity. So I think we have to tackle diversity and inclusion at all levels, but also we have to focus, right? Like, where can I actually make a dent, even a tiny dent? Where can I best bring, you know, what I know and my experiences to the table? And it just so happened that I was with women for so many years. But I think in our companies, it's really about serving your customers better, serving your community better. And the only way we can do that is if we have better representation of all different peoples at all levels, right?
Yes, that is correct. And I like the fact that you mentioned some people ask you why focus on women and not, you know, let's say not include men. Sometimes our people, and this is like globally, misinterpret what women empowerment. It's not necessarily just focusing on women. We still need men to help us empower women. It's just that men has more of the opportunity to date, and we just need to elevate our women. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and there are so many stats, right? When you start digging into the data, there are so many stats that show that there's a lot to be done. For example, one of the stats that shocked me was when I read in Sheryl Sandberg's Lean In book that 43% of women drop out of the workforce when they have kids. This was based on US, right? 43%. Can you imagine here in the
That's a lot.
Philippines? It's a
It's almost
lot.
Yeah, that's
yes,
a lot.
Yeah. So if you have a daughter that you've been educating, even if she's in the US with potentially all the opportunities right there, there's a 43% chance that she's going to drop out of the workforce. What a lot of talent that we're losing, right?
yes.
So
Yeah.
that's why for us at Connected Women, we're all about how do we keep female talent in the workforce so that we can, because bringing them in is one thing, but keeping them in is like another thing,
Yes.
right? Them,
That's
us.
yeah. Big difference, right? Between bringing in a new person as opposed to retaining. It's all about retention. So, yes. But are those stats, the 43%, is that like pretty new, like within 2020, or is that pretty like within a year?
These are old stats. I mean, these were like Lean In, I believe, was like, well, definitely before 2019, like 20, can't remember the year. I think it was like 2019 or something. But
Yeah, that's still within the
yeah,
5 year. So,
yeah,
yeah.
there are very few actual solid studies, sadly, that can
Oh,
tell us very specific stats like this, I find. I mean, I'm not a researcher, right? But
yeah.
this was one that jumped out at me because I was thinking these are women who are leaving the workforce, right? And then here in the Philippines, when we came here in 2016 or before we came here, we did some research based on what was available, in statistics, published statistics and other data that we correlated. And I did ask a researcher friend of mine to help me. And we estimated that around 5 million women were out of the workforce specifically because of family commitments. So that could be women at all levels, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but that number still actually sounds small, even though it's a big number.
Yeah.
So, sometimes you look at the number and you're like, is it really just 5 million women out of a population of over 100 million that are taking care of kids and not able to work? So, we just want to tackle it from the point of view of remote and flexible work powered by technology is a
Yes.
way to keep women in the workplace, right? Or get them into the workplace.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for that. So I'm sensing a lot of accomplishment already so far, even from the time that you discussed your humble beginnings. But tell me, if you can share anything, what has been your proudest moments or accomplishments as an entrepreneur, or as an innovator?
Well, I guess I'm not really, as you can probably tell by the fact that I dropped out of school and all the rest of it, I'm not really motivated, I think, by traditional accomplishments. And my team will tell you the same. Like I have sometimes pileups of people asking me to nominate myself, or I've been nominated for things. And it's literally the last thing that I will ever fill out. Bless knows this because I
Yeah.
think she's had to chase me a lot of times to complete my nomination. And this is an important topic, I think, for us to pick up on later when we talk about the top 100 women,
Yeah.
right? Because this is not just my problem. But for me, it's really, like, I get so much satisfaction out of the impact. It's very frustrating, actually, and very humbling, and actually very soul destroying sometimes when there are so many people that need help and will reach out to me personally, telling me their stories and asking for help of many different types, and I actually can't help them. So I think that keeps me grounded and keeps me humble when I realize how little I can really do. But then on the other hand, we still have to get out of bed in the morning and move forward, right?
Yes.
So on the other side, I also get lovely messages from people that I've never even met who said, I heard you speak. I actually don't like public speaking. I have a fear of public speaking. It used to be really bad and now I'm over it. But I still don't super love it. It's not my favorite thing. But I will get messages from people saying, I heard you speak at this thing like 10 years ago, and what you said something that impacted me, and I did this, and now I'm doing this, and I just want to thank you. And I'm like, wow, like, those to me are the real impact, right? On the individual people that you touch on. And and we all do that, right? We all impact people positively and negatively, whether we mean to or not, as we go about our lives. So, you know, it's like a net positive, isn't it? Like, I couldn't help this person, but I did help this person. And I think that's what drives me. I want to create a good net positive in terms of all of the people that I interact with in my life.
And more than likely, you probably made more of an impact to many more women, myself included. Between you, Miss Gina, and Miss V are the two people that definitely connected me with a lot of our LinkedIn, our Filipino community. So I know I have not personally messaged you on that, but just know you've made that impact.
Oh, thank you.
So, Bless, I'll leave it up to you for now to ask the next one because I
Okay,
don't know
I'd
that
like
one.
to know how do you balance the financial success that you have and the positive impact that you have in the society right now? Because if you don't know, well, I would like to tell you that there are really a lot of people who admire you and wants
Yes,
to message you, but uh, some of them are nahihiya, literally.
yes, yeah.
Oh
And
gosh,
some,
no, please
oh
don't.
yes.
Well, I mean, please message me. I'd love to hear from everyone. You know, I'm just a bit slow sometimes in responding because sometimes messages come in all at once, and then other times nobody messages me. So how fast I reply to you is just really just timing. But you know, I love to hear from people about all different things, and I think, you know, I don't really think about it exactly like that, right? Like balancing out the impact and the financial side. I don't really talk about the financial side of business that much because I'm more excited about the impact and the
True.
solutions. But I
Yeah.
think, but please don't misunderstand my ambitions, because I also believe that being financially successful is very important, right? Like you can
Yes.
do so much more
Mhm.
if your heart is there to do more when you have, you know, bigger resources available to you. So I think that, you know, I tend to talk a lot more about impact because I'm on the community side, but I also want to maximize my financial success because
Yeah.
I really believe in the social entrepreneur model, or the social impact business model. I think that that's the only sustainable business model for a better future, right, for everyone. So
Yeah.
as much as I believe that companies that have commercial businesses and then on the side they do good through charity projects or donations or CSR, that's great. It's a really good step. But I think that we should try to integrate and harmonize social impact and social good in every business that we do. And I'm seeing so much of that now, especially here in the Philippines. It's really amazing.
Oh, that's good. That's
Mhm.
good. So at least there's a change there, right, happening. So, what would you give as an advice? I'll take it even for me or our young aspiring entrepreneur who wants to be an entrepreneur but also make that social impact.
So, well, I think it's inspiring to want to solve big problems, right? I like to tackle problems that I will probably never solve. Certainly not in my lifetime, right? Like I like to feel that I'm part of something bigger. So, you know, tackling jobs and job creation and access to opportunities is like a really big problem. It keeps me awake at night and I don't know the answers. But then you also have to break it down. Like, okay, which aspect of this can I tackle tomorrow? Because otherwise you'll be very unfulfilled if you have this big problem that you want to solve, but then you never get started on it, right?
Yes,
Any
true.
type of entrepreneurship is like that. Like lots of people have ideas that they never act on. So, you know, I'm always advocating for think big, something big enough to keep you awake at night, to inspire you, and to challenge you, and to be worth solving, right? Because life is too small to solve small problems.
Yeah,
But you know, we also have to be realistic. Like, what can I do to make one small step towards this by tomorrow? And when you really break it down, there's definitely something actionable that you can do right away, right? Without any excuses. Not I'm too busy, no, I don't have enough money, no, I don't know how to do this, no, I don't have the right connections, whatever the reasons are that our negative voices tell us to hold us back. Just keep challenging yourself. Okay, if you can't do that, what can you do? Okay, if you don't have that, what do you have? And eventually you'll get started with that one step, and that will lead to the next and the next. And before you know it, you're like, wow, how did this happen? And that's what happened to me, honestly.
Oh, wow. Because I was going to ask you, piggyback on that. You're right. Think big, right? And there's a lot of us that our imagination is really big, but then what if you don't have the funds? You might have the skills to connect with people, but you just don't have the funds. And unfortunately, money is needed somehow, right? It doesn't have to be a huge amount initially. So, what would be that? What could you give for that advice?
Well, I've never had funds, to be honest. Like, I want to be in a position soon where I don't have that problem anymore. But I think, this is why collaboration, networking, and all these things are so important, right? Because when I came back to the Philippines with my husband and my family to do this project, all we had was a very loose plan. I didn't know I've never lived in Manila in my life. I didn't know how to start a business. I don't even speak the language, and I'm still terrible. There were so many things I didn't have, but I just had this idea and the passion. And so I just met a lot of people, and, nobody sat with me and said, you know what, I think this is like rubbish and don't do it. Like, nobody
Yeah,
said that. I mean, of course I got some feedback that I didn't want to
yeah,
hear, and that was probably good feedback as well, but everybody was like, I love what you're trying to do. Have you thought of this? Or have you met this person? Or how can I help you? Or what do you need? Right? So, we also have to do a lot of collaboration to get a big idea off the ground and build the relationships with people, because someone has funds and they
yeah,
don't have an idea, right? They
yeah.
have no idea how to solve a problem. So, just really think about the things that you need, and then really just, I have to say, I feel so blessed in that every time when I'm up against a brick wall and I'm like, I have no idea how this is going to get solved, because we've either run out of money or we need a certain, something like legal advice or something,
Yeah.
then like a miracle, the right person appears. So now I just sit in that, right? Like, I'm just going to have faith that if it's the right timing, that the door will somehow open a little bit. And then we
Yeah.
just have to find a way.
Oh, that's good. It's the universe speaking and
Right.
providing. So what I know for a fact, I'm interested, and as well as the audience. So what are some of the initiatives you're currently working on, and how does that tie in to the overall vision of the inclusive innovation?
Oh my
Or
gosh.
more than
So,
one initiative is okay too.
well, I have to be so
Yeah.
careful, because some of you might know that last October, I made the announcement that we had brought in a new amazing CEO into Connected Women. Her name is Agnes Hervasio. So Ruth Owen, my co-founder, myself, and my husband kicked off Connected Women back here in the Philippines back in 2017. And this is the third version, by the way, of Connected Women now. So we did the community, we did the job matching
Yeah.
platform,
Okay.
and we pivoted again. So now we're doing AI
Yeah.
upskilling, right, for women
Yeah.
in the grassroots.
Yes, yeah,
So
that's right.
now we're like a completely different business model. We're like a social impact BPO. And so, I said to Ruth a couple of years back, because I'm not passionate about management reports and financial tracking and the operational business
Yeah.
side. I'm passionate about starting up new things. I said, we really need to plan to bring in a CEO when we're ready to scale, because I want to focus on like the innovation side, right?
Yeah.
Especially inclusive innovation. And so we were on it. And again, as if by magic, just when I thought we were never going to find the right person, we met Agnes. She joined us last quarter of last year. And so now my official title is founder and head of special projects, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
everyone's like, what's special projects? So it's really cool. Some of it I can't literally talk about because it's all under NDA. But
Okay.
we have some that have been announced. So we partnered with the Aboitiz Foundation and Supermoms, SM Supermoms Club. And
Oh,
between Connected Women and SM Supermoms, we have 340,000 members. And our collaboration is to train that community of 340,000 women in skills for the future of work. So that one went public in March, and next month you will hear more about that.
On the sideline.
About exactly what's happening and what programs we're going to be launching
yeah.
and all the rest. And then other than that, aside from providing artificial intelligence sort of workforce,
Yeah.
we are moving more into the direction where we want to get involved in building AI solutions, especially to solve major problems in health and education. So you will hear more about that later this year.
Oh, that's great. I mean, you can share what we won't share your secret with anyone. It's just us here. So if you want to start talking about it.
That
So
would be
that's
so nice.
yeah, no, it's very exciting, and I'm definitely being in healthcare. I am excited to learn more about the AI and health and what changes coming. So thank you for that. We definitely need to improve upon, believe it or not, still in healthcare, especially in areas such as the Philippines or even other the underdeveloped countries. So that's good to hear.
Absolutely.
So okay, bless. I'll
Okay.
pass
This
it
is
to
my
you.
yeah, this is my favorite part.
I know.
Um
I know what questions you're gonna ask.
uh,
That's why I'm handing it over.
I'd like to know because um we know for a fact that I was really running after you before for the top 100. I'd like to know how your friendship with Miss Virginia Bautista started, how VB Consulting and Connected Women started. There. How did it start?
Yeah, this is a really nice story, actually. So, well, of course, we're both active on LinkedIn. So I knew about, Virginia and I were in each other's LinkedIn network already. I think we met at the remote work conference.
Mm,
When was that? 2018 or something. Um, so I think that was the first time that we physically met because we were both speakers there. And anyway, of course, I'm following the Filipinos to follow on LinkedIn and all the
Yeah.
other amazing initiatives that she did. But there was one year, I think it was like 3 years back, I looked at the list and I think there was like 30 women on the top Filipinos list, right, out of 100.
mhm.
And I thought, I wonder why there's so few women on this list. Although I had a feeling I knew why because I submitted my my form right at
Yes,
the
your
last
form.
minute
Yeah.
because I was being followed up. And going back to my point earlier, I think sometimes as women we're kind of like, oh, I'm just going to go do my work and I don't really want to put myself out there. I don't really want to be recognized in this way because I'm humble, whatever reason.
Yeah.
And often we're just too busy, right? So I thought, I wonder what the reason is, why there's so few. So I reached out to Virginia and I said, should we do a women's edition of this list? Because I'm sure there must be 100 women out there
Oh,
who,
wow.
are
I'm
amazing
getting
on LinkedIn. She said, I'm
goosebumps.
up for it. Let's do it. So that's how it started. It was really like if we had 50-50 or near enough of women and men on the original list, I don't think it would have been an issue, right? But it was
Yeah.
really just,
Yeah.
let's encourage more women to, and this is a women-led list. So
Yeah.
definitely there was no bias or exclusion happening, but I just thought, let's just encourage women to really put themselves out there, right? So actually the first year was really hard. Like, oh my gosh. Then I felt the pain that Bless was going through,
Yeah.
like individually, personally reaching out saying, please complete your nomination,
Yeah,
please
yeah.
complete your form so that we can put you in this list. And people not replying, like, oh, I'm sorry, I've just been so busy. But I'm pleased to say that the second year was easier. Like more people nominated, more people put themselves out there. And this year, women were reaching out to me saying, when is this list launching? I
Oh,
got to
Mhm.
be on
wow.
this list. So I'm really happy to say that, I think through the sharing that we did through the community, really celebrating women, right, and the work that they're doing, it made people realize that it's not just about blowing my own trumpet, right? It's also about inspiring others, giving tips to others, but also representing that we have incredible, talented women on LinkedIn that that we should all be following.
Oh my God, Bless, I'm so glad you asked that question. So that is really, I have to say, I'm definitely one of those women. And to your point, right now, I'm getting messages even from women saying, how can we collaborate? So it's just broadened the network, especially in the Filipino community. So thank you for starting that and focusing on women in particular. So really, really appreciate that.
Yeah, we're very happy that you started it and it's continuing.
Yes.
And what have been the challenges that you're facing right now in terms of encouraging the women? Because as as we speak, so there are challenges.
We're
Yeah.
still following them up. Yeah, we had no issue in getting nominations. I think we had definitely over 200. I think
Yes, we have
300
two. Yeah,
nominations now,
300 right
right?
now. Yeah.
Yeah, so I posted the thread. I followed Virginia's lead of how she used to do it because she used to lead this. I was just supporting. And posted up the thread, and so many nominations have come in. The last time I checked the number of reach that that post had, which I think was last week, it already had over 20,000 impressions.
Oh,
So people are
wow.
seeing this post and they're very interested in nominating women who they want to celebrate and champion. But as always, once the women have been nominated, they're not filling out their form. And because we have so many nominations this year, we have to do it by selection, right? We have to select
Yes.
the top 100.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we really, really need these ladies to fill out their questionnaire, because that will then give us the basis for the very difficult job of selecting the top 100 of all the nominations. So please, please fill out your forms. And if you nominated any of these amazing women, please keep bugging them to fill
I
out their
do.
form.
I
I
keep
know you do.
bugging them.
And I am definitely one of the guilty ones. I will fill it out today. Okay. So poor Bless. She is coming after me with the forms. So
Mhm.
but
In
no,
the relation,
exciting.
yeah. Sorry. In
No,
the
no, I just said it's exciting.
with the relationship that you have with Miss Virginia, what were the things that you discussed or that you wanted to pursue or projects that you wanted to do together in order for you to make the connected women or the most influential women. Yikes, guilty as charged. Miss Deb, sorry, my dog is also wants to join me. um I'd like to know, are there other projects that you and Miss Virginia were looking forward to before in a few days we know what happened to her? So were there any projects that you discuss um for the for the most influential women?
Yeah, well, I think the list is just the first step, right? I mean, the list isn't the end goal of any of the things that we do.
Yeah.
It's really about, you know, as I mentioned earlier, like representing, right? There are so many amazing women who are not even on LinkedIn, right? How many women do you know who are incredible? You go and look them up on LinkedIn and they sort of have this like profile with not even a photo and nothing.
Yes.
And so, it's a shame because not only are they not getting found, maybe they don't, that's not top of mind for them, but they're not inspiring people, they're not sharing their knowledge, their experience, their wealth of expertise and everything else, because it's not just about profiling yourself, right? It's not just about putting yourself out
Yeah.
there. It's really about sharing and connecting and learning from each other. That's Connected Women's tagline, right? Share, connect, work, and learn for our community. So, we really want to make sure that people are in this amazing network, right? Like this, it's so easy to connect. On the back of my business card, I just put my you probably can't see it, but yeah, just
Mm.
my
Oh, the
the
QR
little
code.
barcode thing, the
Mhm.
QR
Yes,
code thing
yes.
that goes straight to my
Yeah.
LinkedIn, right? Because
Yeah.
if I
Mhm.
meet you, I want to connect with you on LinkedIn because I want to see who are our mutual connections, what is important to you, what are you sharing about, what's your news. So I think it's really about encouraging women to make the most out of these platforms that are available to us and to
Mhm.
connect with each other and then to build our community from there, right? Take it offline, look at collaborations that we can do together, and all the rest. So I think, the list is just one step to encourage people. And then from there, we all have to do our part, right? Contribute to the group, to the network, and to the wider community.
Mhm. Um
That's
I
good.
think
Yeah,
go
no, I
ahead,
just
Mary,
wanted,
you have question?
yeah, well, I just wanted to piggyback off of that because of the fact that, again, it's all about connecting, right? And again, sharing the knowledge. So, based on your experience, what have been some of the benefits and the drawbacks of having those, let's say, working relationships?
Well, I think one of the biggest challenges in any type of network or networking is, we have to follow through on it, right? Like for me, I have a really big network now, but just because I've been community building for so long. But for me, it's not really about the number. It's about
Yeah.
the depth of the relationships, right?
Yeah.
We all have those people that we just connect with on a very superficial level, and that's fine, right? That we
Mhm.
can follow each other and just read each other's stuff. But I think the really important ones are, I mean, for example, the one with me in Virginia, right? I didn't really
Yes.
know her, but I said, you're really good at building these lists and highlighting amazing people and amazing Filipinos. That's your passion. I'm passionate about women. Let's come together and do a project together. We never planned for it to be a multi-year project or for it to be really popular. It was just something that we both felt passionate about. So, I think look at this network and think, who are the people that we can do more with? Because the challenge is that you just connect with everyone, but then nothing comes of it, right?
Yes.
And it's kind of pointless. But don't feel overwhelmed, because you don't have to collaborate with everyone to make an impact. You just need to pick one or two people that are really aligned with your cause, and then figure out how you can best make an impact together.
That's excellent advice. Again, just want to say from that benefit that you just shared, that's how we came up with the Connected Filipinos, right? Just collaboration, and it's all through LinkedIn, either the top 100 or the Connected Women. So thank you for that. So, um,
Uh,
oh, go ahead.
y- you are actually the inspiration of Sir John Mark and a lot of of those
A lot
who
of us.
yeah who said, okay, we might as well use, or we might as well uh look at the platform of Miss Gina and probably use Connected Filipinos, and there. So this where we got the Connected Filipinos
Well, I
from
was
Connected
inspired by
Women.
someone. I'm pretty sure that I didn't come up with, the baseline of my own ideas. I mean, I was part of a network in the UK, right? And my mentor taught me everything that I knew about building a network and connecting. And it's funny with sometimes that at the time I didn't realize that how much she inspired and influenced me. We were just friends and we worked together, and she was technically my boss, right? And then decades later, I'm like, wow, I realized what an impact she made on me without even meaning to, just by demonstrating things that I'd never seen before, like how to network effectively, how to build relationships. So, I think we all need to find inspiration out
Yes.
there, but
Yes.
then we also don't know who we're inspiring, right? And
You
that's the
inspired us
magic.
a lot.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
But you're right. You definitely more than likely inspired more, but it's just not like to Bless point, mahiyain, and it's not reaching out. But just because they don't reach out doesn't mean they weren't inspired. So that's
Mhm.
just know that there's a lot more.
Okay, I have a question that was asked prior to this. Somebody said, marunong ka daw bang mag-Filipino?
My Tagalog is literally bad. So I've been here 7 years now,
Uh-huh.
and my Tagalog is bad. I can actually type a little bit in Tagalog, like
Uh-huh.
I can write in Tagalog, but when I try and speak Tagalog, it's bad. But in my defense, my kids are a lot worse.
Is that a good excuse? That's a very
The
good
only
excuse. Yes,
the only
very.
thing they know is like kain and like walang pasok. So there you go.
Actually, the reason why I asked, because uh, the reason why I said mahiyain was because they were saying I feel intimidated when I speak with her. It's just like, oh my God, it's Miss Gina. It's like, oh, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
It's so funny when people say that, right? Because it's, and I'm actually like a kind of socially awkward person, honestly.
I know.
Um, right. So,
You are,
if
you
I
are.
go to a networking event or like a meeting, like my hands will get really clammy and cold. And like I feel anxiety, right? But people don't really, and especially if I'm doing public speaking and things like that. And a lot of people don't see that side of me. um so I find it really strange when I hear these weird comments about people that actually tell me sometimes when I meet them. They go, oh, I'm sorry, I can't say what I want to say because I feel like anxious, or I feel
Yeah.
shy, or I feel starstruck. I'm like, oh my gosh, I also feel shy. My hands are also clammy. um I think sometimes the perception that people have of us is different to the reality, right? And I think also I just want to put this out there, and I've said this a few times before, that a lot of people will say, I really wish I could be a community builder. I wish I could do public speaking, or I really wish I could be a social entrepreneur, but I'm an introvert, or I'm really shy, or, I'm not a leader. I'm more of a back end person. And I say to them, gosh, I am all of those things. I'm probably not a super introvert, but I'm definitely socially awkward.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, don't let those things hold you back, right? I think we're all just humans at the end of the day. Those people who know me really well will know that I love skulls. I was a bit of a goth in my early days. You might have seen a
Oh,
recent post on Facebook that blew up.
I'm gonna have
Um,
to find one. I'm gonna find it.
yeah, I posted it recently. I went to bed and I woke up, I was like, oh no. But anyway, I love skulls.
Okay.
And why I love skulls is because they represent the basic authentic selves of all of us. Like underneath everything, we're all just like weird looking bones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
um and I really love skulls for that reason. I'm still thinking about whether I can get away with a skull tattoo, because it represents something that is important to me. But just remember that, like underneath it, we're just like weird bones.
Exactly. And why can't you get away with a skull tattoo, right?
That's what I was thinking.
It's
Yeah,
new age. Why
maybe for
not?
my
There's nothing
birthday.
wrong with that. Nothing wrong.
Apparently Y2K is back in, so
Yeah.
now is the time.
You just let us know when you do get it, okay? So we'll be the first to know.
I have an upcoming birthday, so you never know. That might be my birthday treat for myself.
Not bad. So,
Mhm.
so Miss Gina, knowing where connected women is today, connected Filipinos being new, as well as the LinkedIn local, what are some areas do you think that we can improve upon, or like improve, remain the same, and totally get rid of things? We'd like to get your
I mean, I think as much as I love staying home and being online, I think we still need the face-to-face meetings, right? Even though it's hard for some of us
I
to drag
agree.
ourselves out. So, I'm really happy to see that you have your face-to-face meetups happening. I'm so sorry I haven't attended any of them yet, but I will attend one. I'm gonna make it official and say it on camera and on
Yay!
recording. We're planning to have something for the 100 women, right? Bless. We have something
Yes.
cooking.
Yes.
So I'll definitely be there for that. So yeah, I think let's not forget those in-person connections, as inconvenient as it can sometimes be. Um, and yeah, let's connect online, let's connect offline, let's continue to build like meaningful and strong collaborations. The superficial ones are fine, but the meaningful long-term ones are the most important. And I think that is the challenge with networking, right? It's not a
yeah,
numbers game. We Otherwise, what's the point, right?
yeah,
If we don't really connect with each other on a deeper level. And that's what your name and our name is all about.
yeah.
Actually, that's the reason why Mary is here, because Mary is the one who's organizing,
Oh,
even if she's in the US right now. She's trying to organize with us the meetups for the most influential. So we're gonna announce that soon. We're just fixing some things. So for the women out there, yeah, yeah, yay!
yay, yay.
We're gonna
I'm
have
so
it.
happy.
Yes.
And the best thing is I already put it out there that I'm socially awkward. So, when you see me in real life and I look like really shifty and uncomfortable, I'm not snooty. I'm just like not good in social situations.
Mhm.
So that's good. So you and I will pair up then, because I'm the same way. I
Yeah.
will hold up a wall, but then when somebody comes up to me, I will be talking. But yes, so we'll pair up. We'll hold two walls together. How's
Yeah.
that?
Okay.
So
We're I think another thing that I would like to ask from you would be, what would be your message for all the women out there who's listening
yeah.
or and who's watching? I think Miss Virginia Bautista is also watching, because I gave the link to her and she's able to watch now. Yeah. What will be your message for all the women? And then the next one would be for Miss Virginia. And for the little girls out there who would like to be like you.
Gosh, I'm not sure if they want to be like me. um, I think, you know, oh, that's a good one. I I think we have to carve our own paths, right? Um, I think a lot of the time, and this is something that I've seen a lot in women. I don't like to stereotype because I think that goes against the whole point of talking about gender equality and all the rest. But I think something that I see a lot in women is that we tend to sort of sacrifice a lot of ourselves for everything else, right?
Mhm.
Put
True.
our own needs last. I did
Yes.
that until it almost broke me, and then I decided that things had to be different. We tend to be guilty no matter what we do. Like women I meet, and I've talked about this on other interviews, like women I meet, this is universal. Women from everywhere do this. If they are working mothers, they feel guilty because they're not there for their kids all the time. But then if they're stay-at-home mothers, they feel guilty that they gave up the career or they're not
Mhm.
contributing to the household, right? Like how can we thrive as humans if every decision that we make we feel bad about, right? So I think we need to start being a little bit um, giving ourselves a little bit of what we give everyone else. I think that would
Yeah.
be a nice thing to see. And I think we're starting to see more of it, right? Because technology and other things are helping us uh, be more efficient and effective and choose more things that we love to do.
Yeah.
Um, and I think, you know, community building is probably one of the most underrated, important skills of the future. We're moving into an era where the human machine collaboration tools like artificial intelligence are coming at us so fast that we don't even know how to handle it. But one thing that AI or any technology will never do is build community like humans, right?
Correct.
Build humanity like
Yeah.
humans. So, you know, this is what we have that is a way for us to build a better future, be happier, be more abundant, and all the rest. So I think let's not lose that sense of connection, and let's really hone the community building skills. And when it comes to community, I think one of the most underrated skills is contribution, or most underestimated and underrated aspects is contribution. People don't realize that a community is only as strong as what you put into it, right? And so we all have to contribute, like volunteers, turn
Yes.
up at stuff, support, share, encourage, and also step up. And then we build a more enriching experience for all of us. So for those of you who are sat there going, oh, I want to, but I'm shy, please chuck that thought out the window. And, you know, and it's not about you, right? It's about what you can bring to the table.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Not about you.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't leave a message to Virginia, but I'm sure I'm echoing everybody in saying that we miss you so much.
Yes.
We know that you're going through a very challenging and difficult recovery. We're rooting for you. We know that you need to take your time and get stronger and get well again. But there isn't a moment that we're not talking about you, praying for you. And, you know, we just can't wait to see you leading all of us here
Yay.
again on LinkedIn and within our communities.
Oh, very, very powerful message. Thank you so much. Bless, do we have any at all questions from the audience? I
Mhm.
can't see
From
the
the
comment.
audience, I see Miss Delby saying, uh, good afternoon, good evening, and yikes, guilty as charged with regards to the farms. Oh, we have Abzul Subedar. I hope I said or I pronounce his last name. Oh, from South Africa. And then we
Hi,
have Miss
Abzul.
Marilyn Ramos. Good afternoon. It's good evening already. And then your thank you for sharing your entrepreneurship journey. That's what she said. And then Miss Delby is also saying hello, Miss V. Hello, Miss V. We're all here. So there. So any message that you'd like to say, Mary, before we um say good night and goodbye to everyone?
Yes. No, I just really want to say, Miss Gina, this has truly been an honor for me. So when Bless asked me, I was like, yes, definitely. I want to meet you in person. I don't know if you remember when I was in the Philippines last year. So again, I want to tell everybody listening, Miss Gina responds to messages. I asked her if we can meet up for coffee. And immediately she responded, yes, just let me know where and when. But actually, my schedule is the one that created that hindrance for us to meet. So, but she definitely responds and quickly as well. So, thank you so much. And
Not
I'm
always.
going.
Don't
Yes,
set the expectation. Sometimes I'm
yes,
slow.
that's right. That's the expectation. But no, I cannot wait to meet you in person. But I am so honored, at least, to meet you virtually. So, thank you.
We'll meet in person soon, I'm sure.
Yes.
Miss Marilyn said, "Thank you for inspiring conversation that I can relate a lot with." And Miss Delby said, "Informative and inspiring. Thank you for sharing." So that's what she said. Yeah. So, would you like to invite or any words that you want to say to the most influential candidates or nominees right now? Thank you to our. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Delby. Go ahead.
So it's not too late. You can still
Mhm.
nominate.
Yes.
We are closing the Bless help me. What's closing and when? The
April
nominations are still
30.
ongoing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
And then the form. So as long as you're nominated and fill out your form before the end of this month, you can still be included in the list. This is not a competition, right? This is really about highlighting and showcasing those of you who are willing to step up for each other and be there for each other and be part of this amazing network. So I really hope that we continue to nominate, continue to find amazing women. I'm pretty sure that because we have so many nominations, we will have to do something for everyone that was nominated, not
Yeah.
just the top 100, right? So we will put together a network and of course an event so we can meet. So do
Yeah.
participate there, and let's just keep inspiring each other and helping each other build our professional our careers, our businesses, and don't be shy to reach out to each other to ask for help and advice, because I'm sure everyone is willing to give a little bit of time to each other just to help out, right?
That's for sure.
And yeah, Stephanie Hinosa said, "Let's advocate women empowerment." Oh, we have
Yes.
we're going to have a raffle. So,
Oh.
Melj, do you have the raffle already, or are you going to announce it later on? Melch is our technical person. She's doing it for her dad. Wait, let me see. She has a message. Wait. Okay, probably it will be announced later on. Melch, are we gonna okay. We can probably announce it later on, Melch. And so we want to announce that this is the end of our podcast for tonight. For Miss Delby and the others, will be tapping and going to reach out to you. We're going to have your podcast soon. So for all the most influential women, we're gonna have that with you. And we're also going to announce the activities that we're going to have for the most influential women. And soon also the top 100. We're gonna have the 5th year anniversary this August. So there will be lots of activities already approved by Miss Virginia Bautista. So soon we'll be announcing that. So there you go. So good night, everyone. Miss Gina, please stay for a while because we need to do to get all the recordings. Good night, everyone. We're gonna see you on the next podcast. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Please stay,
you.
Miss
Bye.
Bye.
Gina. Yeah, bye.
Learn more, achieve more. That's the message LinkedIn Learning has for individuals and organizations. Our goal is to help you and your employees discover and learn the skills needed to be productive and successful through a highly personalized, data-driven, engaging learning experience. LinkedIn Learning combines 3 core elements: diverse and high-quality content, personalized curation, and anytime, anywhere convenience. But it begins with content. Our content covers topics employees must have to be successful and topics organizations need to engage, develop, and retain top talent in today's competitive job market. Courses are taught by industry experts, all with real-world experience. Our business library covers courses on leadership and management, talent management, effective communication, strategy, and career development. Our technology library covers in-demand topics, including programming, infrastructure and operations, data science, and networking that are critical to software engineering and IT managers. Our creative library covers topics for CAD and creative professionals, with an emphasis on design and staying on top of emerging trends and technologies. In addition to our diverse content, unique insights from the world's largest professional network allow us to create a personalized learning experience for you and your employees. With 450 million member profiles and billions of engagements on LinkedIn.com, we have a unique view of how jobs, industries, organizations, and skills continually evolve. With this data, we can identify the skills you and your employees need and deliver expert-led courses to help attain those skills. These same insights also empower managers or L&D professionals to easily identify and recommend the most relevant content to their teams and employees. Today's workforce has more competing demands for their time than ever before. To help make it convenient to learn anytime, anywhere.
When it begins, there's so many questions.
There's so much potential.
A lot of ideas.
A lot to say, and more often than not,
It isn't so much what we say,
But how we say it.
so when that spark of inspiration hits,
Our creative energies drive us forward.
and in a world where every decision counts,
Our choices matter.
line,
Form.
function,
all the elements come together in balance.
Expressed in their simplest, truest form.
and in that moment,
When an idea becomes something real,
It opens the door
to new possibilities. Sense Labs.